I, 25 female, overheard my boyfriend, 27 male, say that he chose the wrong girl. For context, me and my boyfriend have been together for a total of 8 years. We met between mutual friends while I was still in school and he had just moved to my town to go to college. We were friends for 2 years before we started dating. The reason for this was because 1, I was too scared to make a move, and secondly, he was in love with one of our mutual friends. After she got a boyfriend, he moved on to liking me and we have been dating ever since. Last Saturday was his birthday and he told me that he has never been thrown a surprise party and would like to experience one. I worked all week before Saturday, his birthday, planning and inviting people, getting reservations, buying a cake, etc. I asked his best friend to hang out with him for most of the day so that I could set up and get everyone to get here and hide for the surprise. The birthday party was a success and he was smiling the whole time. He had snuck off with his best friend somewhere and I wanted to find him so that we could sing happy birthday and cut the cake. As I was walking down the hallway, I heard him and his friends talking, so I kept walking towards their voices. I heard him tell his friend that he should have kept trying with our mutual friend. He told him that he should have been the man that was engaged to her and not her now fiance. He said that he hated waking up to me and that he wished that our mutual friend was the one that threw him his first surprise party. He said that he felt disgusted every time he had to kiss me or hold me because he knew our mutual friends should be in his arms instead. He said that he felt like he was stuck in our relationship and that he would end up having to marry me. He said that our mutual friend was better than me in looks from head to toe. He said that she was the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. I went back to the party and told everyone that I couldn't find him and that we would have to wait for him to come back. When he came back, he gave me a hug and a kiss on the head and told me he loved me. I didn't want to ruin his party, so I went along with it. He doesn't know that I know he doesn't honestly love me. I've just been going along with everything. I honestly don't want to break up with him. I just want to know how I can make him fall in love with me. I don't know what I did to make him feel so unhappy, so I would like to know, how do I make my boyfriend fall in love with me, or should I just give up on our relationship? He is the first boyfriend I've ever had, and I'm scared to start dating again at my age.
Would I be in the wrong if I refused to clear my mom's debt, leaving her and my siblings homeless? My mother got herself into an MLM scheme last year despite my brother and I warning her against it. She quit her job because the MLM scheme people told her that this was her chance to become an entrepreneur and an independent. My dad is supporting her financially now and my 4 younger siblings. She pretty much gave up on the oils after selling them to everyone she knows. She still has a lot more left to sell, but now she wants to do something else because she doesn't feel like she's her own boss under this MLM company. She's overestimated how many people want to buy her product, and now she's thousands in debt. She won't get a job, and my dad can't afford to pay it off without selling the house and his car. My brother has 3 kids in private school. He doesn't have much money to spare. I'm on maternity leave, and the amount that she needs will wipe out my savings, and I'd have to use my husband's money as well to cover the debt, which I don't think is fair. Especially since she doesn't want to get a job after this debt is cleared because she's an entrepreneur at heart, and working for someone's company is soul crushing. She wants to open a food truck even though they aren't popular in the town that she lives in and always go out of business. My mom isn't a bad cook, but she's competing with professional chefs, and I'm sure she'll give up as soon as it gets hard. My dad says he plans to sell the house and his car and move his tenants out of the apartment he owns. My mom called me crying because she loves her neighborhood and she's lived there for 35 years. She says that I'm selfish and evil for not paying her debt because she'll pay me back when she expands her food truck business. She doesn't understand why I don't just use my husband's money since he won't notice it's gone. My mom has threatened to not allow me to see my younger siblings who I'm close with and to have me exiled from our entire family. Would I be in the wrong for refusing to clear the debt even though I could because my mom's threatening me? Am I in the wrong for telling everyone in the home that I'll plate food from now on and clear labeling for leftovers? I have 3 people in the home right now. My daughter that is going to college and my son and his wife that are staying to save money. The issue is with my son and wife. They eat so much, and frankly, it's a concerning amount. What I usually do before they moved in was make a meal, everyone eats, and then pack up the leftovers in the fridge. The food is gone by the time that I even try to get seconds. Sometimes I make food and my daughter ain't home and it's all gone. I make big meals that can easily feed 4 to 6 people with leftovers sometimes. For example, I made a pound of spaghetti with meat sauce. I didn't even get any. I didn't grab any and was going to eat after I finished some chores. My daughter wasn't home and those 2 ate the whole pound of spaghetti. I had a 2-layer cake. Almost all was there and went to work. The cake was almost gone when I got home. That was less than 8 hours. My daughter is very frustrated since there is never any cooked food in the home. I have made double batches and that gives leftovers, but they don't last. The next day the leftovers are gone. It's hurting my wallet and I'm over it. I don't want to charge for groceries since that won't solve the issue with leftovers or if they eat everything before anyone has a chance to eat. So I sat down and told them that I'll be plating everyone's food, that leftovers will be split evenly and labeled clearly. If anyone's still hungry, then they can go buy some more food to eat. I implemented it today. My daughter and I loved it since we could eat and have leftovers. They hated it and are still hungry. This has started an argument and they think that I'm a huge jerk. So am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for telling my husband that his affair child is not welcome in our home and if he wants custody, he'll have to move out? My husband and I have been married for 9 years. In 2021, we found out that my husband is being sued for child support. It turns out my husband had an affair shortly after we married. It nearly ended our marriage, but we went to counseling together and I agreed to stay in the marriage with the following provisions. My husband was to get a second job so that this child support payments did not affect our household budget and that at no point in time would I ever consider having a relationship with this child. If he wanted to pursue one with them, fine, but I have absolutely no interest in this kid. So my husband has been getting to know his kid over the past couple years, and recently my husband came to me and informed me that there was some sort of baby mama drama. Apparently, she has to self-surrender in May and is going to be incarcerated for 8 months. My husband told me that he needed to take custody while his affair partner is locked up. Otherwise, the kid would have to go to their grandparents, who basically lives on the opposite coast from us. Their kid doesn't want to have to change schools or be so far away from their friends, dad and mom. She'll be doing her time fairly local to us. So after my husband told me that, I got up and left the house. I went to the grocery store on the corner and grabbed a copy of our area's apartment guide, went back home and handed it to him. He asked if I were serious. I told him that I felt the same way as I did 3 years ago. He said he didn't think it was fair considering the accentuating circumstances. I told him that I don't care about the circumstances. His kid is not welcome in my home. If he wanted to take custody, I'll grant him an amicable divorce. I'm not changing my mind. I'm not taking care of some chick's kid. He currently only has supervised visitation with the kid. They see each other once or twice a month for a couple hours with a social worker present. So, am I in the wrong?
I think my husband is having an affair in our camper van. My husband convinced me to buy a camper van during lockdown back in 2020, but I think I'm starting to regret the decision. My female intuition is telling me he's using it to get up to no good. We only really use the camper in the summer, but recently my husband, who works from home, seems to be spending more time there, using it as an excuse to go on overnight work trips or saying he uses it as his office, which is kind of plausible, I suppose. I haven't got any hard evidence, but I went in there the other day and there was a stench of female perfume and it definitely wasn't mine. Should I be worried? Are camper van affairs a thing now? Didn't have anything concrete to say he was definitely playing away, aside from the strong smelling perfume when I walked in there a couple of weeks ago, and the fact that he was always using the camper as his office. Well, my suspicions continued to eat away at me. I decided to do some investigating of my own on Saturday night while he was out with his friends. And unfortunately, my worst fears were confirmed when I found sexy underwear that definitely wasn't mine stuffed in a drawer inside the camper. When my husband had gone home, I was standing in the doorway, lingerie in hand. After some initial denial, he tried to say he bought the underwear for me, which would have been believable if A, it still had the tags on, and B, if it was actually my size. He finally admitted to having an affair. At one point, he got on his knees asking for my forgiveness and saying it was a one-off blah blah blah. The betrayal cut steep, and I'm still trying to process everything. But after pouring my heart out to friends over the past couple of days, one in particular found herself in a similar situation and is actually going through a divorce at the moment. I've decided unconventional betrayal needs to be met with an unconventional reaction, and rather than wallow in pity, I'm taking matters into my own hands. Last night, after a few glasses of wine with my soon-to-be divorced friend by my side, I signed up to a couple of marriage dating sites. Yes, I know, you shouldn't fight fire with fire, but this is about revenge. Taking control and refusing to be the victim. I want him to feel exactly how I felt. If he thought he could get away with doing whatever he was doing in our camper van, right under my nose without any consequences, he's got another thing coming. Am I wrong for begging my daughter not to have any more children? I, 58 female, and my husband Rob, 61 male, have 2 kids. Erica, 35 female, and Mike, 30 male. Both kids are married, but Erica and her husband Steve, 38 male, live nearby to us, and this issue concerns them. They work full-time and have 2 kids, 5 male and 4 female. 5 years ago, my daughter asked my husband and I if we would be willing to become their full-time childcare so she could continue to work and afford their comfortable life. We agreed, but we didn't discuss much more than watching the baby and their expectations. I was a teacher and retired 2 years before I could take my pension, so my husband continued to work and we made a few sacrifices like vacations and adding to our savings, but we were able to make it work so I could take my full pension at 55 and my husband retired a year later. Our arrangement worked and we enjoyed having the kids except by year 3. During the lockdown, they were both working from home. They expected us to keep the kids all day, and we wanted to split time each week since their preschool and daycare was closed. We settled on 2 days with them and 3 days with us, and my son-in-law complained about it pretty much every day. Things got better when the kids were able to go to school. Fast forward to year 4, we have a bit of a blow-up over kindergarten. My daughter did not want her 5-year-old to start school in the unknown, but I insisted that he needed to go because I needed the break. I also asked for their 4-year-old daughter to spend more time at preschool and daycare programs. Son-in-law complained about the cost, but I pushed anyway. They relented, and then this past spring, son-in-law pushed for us to take the kids for a week so that they could go on a vacation. We said that they had to take the kids, and he said they couldn't afford it. No one went on vacation. Maybe that was too much background, but I felt like the context is important for what I said. My daughter and I were casually having a conversation the other day, and she mentioned she had an OBGYN appointment and tests. I asked if everything was okay, and she said Steve and her were expecting for baby number 3. I asked her what her childcare plan was, and she looked at me like I was crazy and said us. I said that it would have been nice if she told me this before trying for another baby. She said it is none of my business. I said it is if I'm providing 5 more years of babysitting. I then told her that we were not viable childcare options for a new baby and begged for her to reconsider. Her daughter is going off to kindergarten next year, and we will feel like we are getting our days back to some extent and refuse to start all over again with an infant. Erica said that we were making her choose between her dream of 3 kids and financial stability. I argued that she has 2 beautiful children and they were financially stable, and they shouldn't ruin that with another baby. I might be the asshole because Erica feels like we should have told her sooner. I feel like I am not because I never agreed to a lifetime of raising their kids.
Am I in the wrong for disowning my wife's daughter after she chose her mom's affair partner over me? I, 35 male, met my now soon-to-be ex-wife, 33 female, during uni 12 years ago. She already had a kid when she was 19, but the dad left as soon as she started uni. We were dating for 3 months before I met her daughter, Lisa. I remember seeing her family for the first time. I was nervous meeting her parents, but when I saw the little girl beside her mom, I was confused. I asked her if it was her little sister or a cousin of hers, and her answer shocked me. When she told me that that's her daughter, I thought I misheard her or something. At first, I wanted to dump her for hiding something so crucial from me, but she kept on begging me to stay, and eventually, I relented, and soon enough, I started to fall in love with her daughter and wanted to be her father figure. Our bond grew over the years, and in early 2019, before the pandemic hit, we got married. In late 2021, I adopted Lisa, and in early 2022, my wife gave birth to our son Mark. After my son was born, my wife made a choice to stay at home for the time being, and I was completely fine with that. Everything was going perfectly until a few months ago. I started noticing my wife increasingly spending time with her friends. At the time, I didn't say anything since, in my mind, being at home all day was probably eating at her, and I didn't want to seem controlling. The thing that made me suspicious was her constant texting and going out of the room for calls. She never did that for anyone besides this one friend of hers. I asked her about it, but she gave me some vague answers about gossip. The moment that it went too far, though, was when I came home last week and saw her outside talking on the phone. This wasn't out of the ordinary. I remember seeing my son on the floor crying alone. I was pissed at my wife for just leaving him alone in the house, but when I went to pick him up and smelled the horrible stench coming from him, I was beyond furious. His diaper seemed like it hadn't been changed since the morning. I quickly changed his diaper and rushed outside with him in my arms. I was beyond pissed. I snatched her phone from her hand and I bolted back inside. I locked my wife outside to have a talk with this friend of hers alone. I had my suspicions about who it really was, and when I heard a male voice calling out her name and asking who was there, I immediately knew what was going on. He ended the call as soon as he heard my voice. I then proceeded to lock the front door to make sure that my wife couldn't enter the house at all, and proceeded to screenshot as much of their chat as I could and then send them to myself before deleting them off of her phone. About 5 minutes later, she was still banging on the glass door leading to the backyard. I reluctantly opened it and was met with a smack in the face. Remember, all this is happening while I'm holding a toddler in my arms. As soon as she realized what she had just done, she apologized profusely, started crying, and tried to hug me. I pushed her away and told her to meet me at the dining table. I told my daughter to quickly take care of the baby so me and her mom could have a quick chat. I told her that this was her only chance to even have a sliver of a chance of getting me back. If she messed up this talk, it was over on the spot. No lies, nothing. She kept on trying to apologize and say it wasn't serious. I reminded her that she not only effed me over, she could have easily done serious harm to our son by leaving him alone in the house like that. I then simply asked who, for how long, and did they sleep together? She replied her ex-boss Daniel, 6 months, and she didn't answer the last one, so I kept reminding her that this was her last chance. She then simply nodded. I then asked her if they used protection. To this, she started crying and started begging me for forgiveness. She said that she would block him then and there, would never contact him again, and I could sleep with any woman that I wanted from now, yada yada. I guess Lisa heard the commotion and came downstairs. I told her to go back up, but she just walked to my wife, and I asked her if she knew about Daniel. Up to this point, I was calm. But upon hearing this, I swear I even started to tear up. I asked her why she didn't tell me. She responded with, because unlike you, Daniel buys me things that I want without having to beg. I then asked her how she could possibly do this to her dad. She responded with the, you're not my real dad crap. My wife screamed at her upon hearing what she said. At that point, I couldn't bear any of this anymore. I just grabbed my son and got into the car. Me and my son are currently staying at my parents' house. I've basically been drinking myself to sleep every day. Thanks to the saint of a mother I have, my son is being taken care of right now. I'm beyond hurt. I've canceled my ex-daughter's private school tuitions, all her extracurricular activities, and I've contacted a divorce lawyer. He's going to serve my wife this Friday. My wife and Lisa have been blowing up my phone nonstop with apologies. I simply responded with, get a lawyer and tell that ungrateful thing of yours to start calling Daniel her dad. I'm disowning her. I then blocked my wife. I didn't respond to Lisa, I just simply blocked her. I guess my wife told our friends what her and Lisa did, and now they've been texting me nonstop. They understand how I feel, but believe that I'm going too far by divorcing my wife without hearing her out. They also keep telling me that disowning Lisa is definitely going too far, and she's only a kid and didn't understand what she was doing. I just can't get over the things that she told me. I worked my ass off to give my wife and daughter luxuries. Luxuries I could have only dreamed of as a kid, and this is how I get paid back? Lisa, 13 years old, is old enough to understand that hiding her mom's affair is bad, and definitely purposely used those words to hurt me. But a part of me believes that there is still hope. A few family counseling sessions later, and we go back to living the life that I once considered a fairy tale. I'm beyond destroyed by this whole situation. A part of me just wants to see them burn in hell, but the other part of me believes there's still hope. Am I really going too far? Is there still hope? Am I in the wrong for not doing anything for my stepchildren anymore after being called names and filing for divorce for my husband after he didn't back me up? I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, 34 male, for 6 years, and he has twins, a boy and a girl, and they're 16 now. When we started dating, got married, we went to family therapy, and I made it clear that I was not trying to be their mother or replace their mother. Their mother hasn't been in their life since they were about 8. Things have been great with us these past 6 years. They even started calling me mom when they were around 12 to 13. Recently, their bio mother came back into their lives, and they were really excited. Things were great for about 6 months, and then they started calling me by my real name. That hurt, but it's what they chose to do, and I never questioned it. Recently, they've been getting very disrespectful. They don't follow the curfew rules, they're not cleaning up after themselves, they're talking back to me, telling me that I'm not their real mom, that I'm the reason she left, which is not true. I didn't meet him until almost a year and a half after she left. That now she's back, they don't need me anymore. 3 weeks ago, there was a big blow up where my stepson called me a bitch. I took his phone and told him to go to his room until his dad came back, but instead, he ran out and went to his mom's. She came over and it was a big argument. She tried to hit me and I pushed her out of my house. My stepdaughter told me if I ever put hands on her mom again, then she'd kick my ass. They both went to their mom's place. After that, I haven't been very active. I usually take them to sports and activities. I didn't wake them up for school, so they've been late a few times. I tell them to have their mom wake them up and take them. We were supposed to go to Disney World for their spring break this week, but I canceled everything. I told them and my husband, and I guess they thought I was bluffing. We were supposed to leave in the middle of the week, and when I didn't start the usual vacation roundup, they were shocked. They started saying that I was jealous that their mom came back in their lives and I'm a horrible person, I'm selfish, there was some name calling, and my husband was silent. I asked him if he was going to step in and he said I was wrong for canceling. I left and went to stay at a hotel. He's been blowing up my phone asking me to come back, and yesterday he told me that their mother disappeared again and they've been calling me and crying and apologizing. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't feel like I'm part of their family and they can't just cry and come back now after she disappeared. I told my husband that I want a divorce and I'll be back over this week to get my things, but we have nothing to talk about. Yes, I know their mother was manipulating them. I never said otherwise. Yes, they're 16, but that doesn't give them a right to treat me this way. Being 16 doesn't mean you get to be disrespectful and threaten me. I've always been in their corner. I know their feelings matter in this, but I'm also a person with feelings. I'm not only considering or moving forward with this divorce based on how the children acted, it's also how my husband didn't back me up. If I can't count on him to help me navigate this tough situation, then why should I stay? That does not mean that I should be treated the way that I was treated. This is not normal 16-year-old behavior. To threaten me? Call me vile names? I just need time for myself, and I don't want an apology just because their bio mom ran out on them again. I want an apology because they really mean it, and I don't believe anyone can be truly sorry 2 days after their mother vanished again. I would never just abandon them. But I do need time for myself because my feelings were disregarded. So, am I in the wrong?